Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining in. And I see a lot of people have already joined in, and I can see just quite a common names that I've seen it. Okay, great. So thanks, guys. And we'll give just 1 minute more for a bit more people to join in. I see that a lot of people have already joined in. And I'll take 1 more minute to see that if more people are joining, and then we'll quickly get started. And just to give a face to a name, if you have any questions or anything, I would suggest that you open up a camera so that it will be a kind of a session from both the sides that we know that whom we are talking to, and at the same time, you would also know that whom you are talking to. So today's session is a bit of a special, and I'll talk about my one of my very esteemed guests, and he's none other than Nirvan. So a lot of people might be knowing Nirvan already, and some of you might not know him so far. So I'll just make a quick introduction. But okay, let's give a few seconds more because I'm getting some kind of messages that people are still trying to join in, and they are facing some problem with the links. So I see that. Okay, all right. So let me add a few more people who are in the waiting list. Hi, Vatsal, Anvesha, Bhumika, and others, Ramya, Ishan. I see that you have been quite consistent in all the calls, and I wish you all the best. And okay, fine. So whatever we have now, we quickly get started. So, guys, today's session is a bit special for two things. First thing is that we are going to talk about that. We talk in the last two sessions. We talk about the CVs. In the second session, we talked about job search journey and strategy and how people from Facebook and JP Morgan they faced troubles and how they overcame their troubles and got into the job role that they truly deserve. So today's call is a bit different, and I have a guest speaker from Google, and he's Nirvan. A lot of people might be knowing you, and those people who don't know Nirvan, who he is, what is his experiences. So I would say that he's one of the very talented guy, and he works in Google. I'll give the chance to him to talk more about it. But just before that, before everyone goes in terms of the in their questions and everything. So I would say that the best way to ask any question is that you provide your text in the form of you provide your question in the form of a text, and that will be the best way. If in case you are not able to text, then in that case, at the last of the session, you would have all kind of chance to ask the questions. So keep your questions ready. Nirvan and I will take the questions accordingly. So we'll get started now. So just to introduce you about Nirvan, and I'll give you all the chance, but I'll just give a brief introduction about yourself as well. So Nirvan is he has got 8 years of experience, and he has worked with different kind of startups. He has worked in Uber with NGOs. He finished his master's in management from UCD, and currently he's working in Google as an account manager. So those people who know Nirvan personally, they know it very well that he's an avid reader and he loves traveling. So he has guided a lot many people so far, and we are taking. So in these master classes, we are getting more people from different companies, and we are asking them to talk about their experiences, where they could come back and talk about what does Google see in the candidates, how does he made into the Google and other things. We'll have all the time over there, but just before that, Nirvan, I'll hand over to you. And is there anything that you would like to add up, or if you would like to introduce yourself, anything that I have not spoken and you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, thank you so much, Raghav, for organizing this. I think it's a dire need of the hour. I understand how the market is right now. And I personally have been working with a lot of people over the last few months. So I do understand what all of you are going through. But just to take a step back, again, a little bit about myself. My name is Nirvan, and I'm actually from Assam, India. So, like many of you, I've always had the dream of studying abroad, and I've been here for the last 3.5 years now, so quite a while. Don't know how time flew over the last few years, but honestly, it's been a wonderful journey in Ireland. And again, sun is out, great weekend as well. So it's really commendable how all of you are doing this on a Friday night. So I do understand the kind of dedication that all of you have, which is really fascinating to see because that's going to definitely get you places. In terms of my journey, again, I think one thing that I'm super happy about myself is last 10 years I've been very intentional in terms of what I want to do and where I want to go. So I'm not going to take up too much time. I had 4 years of experience before coming to Ireland, and then I ended up doing my master's in management from UCD. I think many of you are from UCD as well, so I've met some of you recently in terms of the coaching sessions. And yeah, it was actually a very challenging period because I came during peak COVID. So that was a big challenge for me back in the days, spending so much of money investing abroad and coming here. And then I just realized everything is shut down. So I had to mentally prepare myself in terms of what are my expectations, how am I going to tackle the job market. As you know, 2020 was really bad. So that really took a toll on me. And then I started to think about solutions like how do I hack the job market and how can I do better? And finally, again, after multiple rejections, talking to a lot of people, networking, upskilling, I finally landed a job in Google. Not as easy as it sounds. Definitely had my fair share of troubles throughout the entire journey. But yeah, I've been working Google for almost 2.5 years now. And it's been going great. I am an account executive at Google. So I basically work with companies who are small and medium businesses in the UKI, and I help them grow using Google Ads. So that's basically what I do. Always been passionate about sales and marketing, so that's where I currently stand. And yeah, I believe I can give back a lot to the society in terms of adding value to people and making an impact. That's the main reason why I'm here with Raghav. Raghav is a veteran. He's been doing this for a very long time now. So I'm super happy to be collaborating with him on these masterclasses, and I hope that you take something out of this masterclass today. So yeah, over to you, Raghav. That's a little bit about myself and where I come from.
All right. Thank you so much, Nirvan. So, Nirvan, before anybody asks you any question, I'll give it all the time to people. So, before anybody else asks you the question, I have a question for you. So, there are a lot many people who have tried, and Google has, I got how much? 2% success rate. If 100 people apply for Google for a position, one or two people, less than 2% of the success rate. So, you have been in a part of 2% group, the top 2% group. So, if somebody asks you that, I've been trying into Google for a large amount of time and I'm not getting through Google. What is your take on him? Advice you will give to people who are looking forward for Google? What is the one thing that Google looks at, and what are the peripheral things that people who want to get their career into Google, what they would have to do? Anything that you can share light on?
Definitely, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And Raghav, just to again, I know the application rate is super super intense at Google, so it can be a bit difficult to get into. But actually, it's 0.2%. It's
Oh
not
my
two
god.
percent. Yeah,
It's
so
not
I
2%, it's 0.2%. Oh my
definitely,
god.
yes. So I had a little bit of a nightmare when I saw that as well, but I'm glad. Like, thank God everything worked out. But again, it was not an easy journey. This is not the first time I'm applying to Google and I got in. This is literally the third time that I got into Google. After applying for the first two times, I wasn't successful. But I think a lot of things need to align when you're going for such a role. I think the first thing that you need to understand is, okay, what are your strengths? Where are you coming from? What is your storyline? What is your narrative? So for me, something that really helped was self-awareness in the beginning, because even when I came to Ireland, I knew for a fact that all I wanted to get was into tech sales. So I think those intentions really showed when I was going for interviews, applying my like modifying my CV, and also asking people for referrals. So I think that really helped in terms of that self-awareness. Like, what are you good at? During those early phases, I did know that I am passionate about sales and marketing. So that's something which I wanted to get into. So once you have that clarity, it becomes easier for you to narrow down your CV in terms of what are the alignment and values that Google is looking at, and how can you fit yourself in such an amazing culture. As you know, Google puts a lot of emphasis into culture, diversity, inclusion. So it's really important for you to take a step back and just think like what are you good at. I think that's the first step when it comes to self-awareness. Second is definitely like prepping in terms of the CV, talking to like-minded people who already work at Google, understanding their journey, understanding the day-to-day of a role. What are the roles that suit your experience? Like, what have you been doing so far? I think that's really important. So aligning yourself to those, I think that'll get you a better chance of an acceptance rate. um, Thirdly, I think it's really important for you to also reach out to people for referrals, because that's literally the easiest way in. the door. So I've been spending a lot of time in my background, upskilling a lot, doing a lot of courses, doing a lot of books, and also networking with a lot of people in LinkedIn. I think, as you know, that Dublin is the Silicon Valley of Europe. I'm sure you'd have heard that a lot. So tech is a big factor over here. So in terms of getting close to the tech community and then understanding their how they made it, what do they do, I think that's really important. So that's something which I did. Again, I follow these three main things when I'm looking at jobs. I'm sure you might be able to relate to this as well because I had a similar struggle. Again, it's not like I applied for the first job and I got it. If you look at the ratio, I literally applied for 120 jobs. I got around 20 to 30 interviews, and then I got four jobs in the end. So that's the funnel, right? 120, 30, four. And out of that four, one was Google. So I think that's really important for you to understand because as you progressively get better in your go through this journey, it is a process. It's not an end goal, right? Focus on the process and eventually you do get better. I've noticed my first interview was so much better than my 10th interview, right? So I think that's what advice I've been giving who I've been coaching recently in terms of, hey, focus on these three pillars because that's something which will get you places. And after that, again, the interview, obviously, you need to be skilled. You need to make sure that you're doing the right prep, asking the right questions. Again, this is a niche, which is sales and marketing, the Google role that I do. So it's really important for you to fit yourself in that niche and see where you're coming from. But again, that's the general overview in terms of what I followed, and that has helped me. Now, I know I think Vatsal did ask a question. Tailoring CV with specific job description, 100%. You're not going to be able to use a generic CV for these big companies, right? They really look how you can add value in their ecosystem. So you definitely need to 100% match the job description. So that's something which is very important because I think Raghav talks a lot about the process, right? How an ATS is there and how that prevents you from going into if you don't have specific job descriptions. But yeah, in terms of a bird's eye view, Raghav, that's exactly what I did. Again, there's a lot of specific things that I can mention, but just wanted to shorten it and make sure I make people understand that, you know, these things are very necessary and this practice and homework is necessary for you in the beginning for you to be prepped at the right time. And it's a lot to do with luck and timing as well, right? So whenever an opportunity such as this comes by, you need to grab it by its horns and take it. So yeah.
All right. One thing that I heard time and time again, guys, and I want to tell you everyone on this is failing to prepare is like preparing to fail. A lot of times, a lot of people just get out of the league just because they are not prepared. And I remember that I was taking a couple of interviews as an interviewer, and I liked a guy very much because he was absolutely great. He had got great experience, and I could relate with the guy very well. The only thing that I found that my manager, I was at a managerial position, and my manager was a director at that time, and he refused to take him in, stating that he came unprepared for a core activity for which he had been interviewed. He was getting interviewed for a data analyst role, and we asked him a question about his data models, and he came completely unprepared. He mentioned a couple of things in the CV. When it was digged out, he could not answer that. And this is one of the very big failure point in the interviews that maybe some of you might know it, some of you might not know it, that all the good companies, they train the interviewers how to take the interviews. They don't give the interviews to anyone at random because if they do any kind of mistakes, a person can sue that company altogether. So they train them what to ask, what not to ask, how to ask the questions when they want. For example, if you go back for any big four company, or maybe some fan companies as well, and in the beginning of the interview, that means the first 2 minutes or first 5 minutes, if you are nervous, interviewers are trained to ask you questions like that. How was your weekend? And when did you come to Ireland? How was your experience at college? So if they are asking you, or maybe did you find any troubles to coming over here? Do you know anyone in this company? So they will ask you these kind of questions. These are called as icebreaker questions. And they ask these questions so that you become comfortable first. They are not going to judge you in the first 2 minutes or 3 minutes before you can start speaking. But once you have done with your introductions, and then if you get nervous, That's where the problem comes in. For example, the second thing that I'm going to tell you about here is if somebody's talking to you and he's asking you a question, suppose I'm going to take today's CV as Siddharth Karnath. Is Siddharth there here? Siddharth, if you can just raise your hand if you're there, because you approached me to take your CV over here, for example, and if you're there, I'll take your CV. Siddharth, if you, I see someone has raised a hand. Siddharth, you are there. If you can speak up.
Yeah, hi Raghav, I'm here.
You're here? Okay, all right. I'll take your CV today. Okay, and we'll talk about that. But before that, I'll tell you that. So I was about when people when you are done with your introduction and somebody asks you a question and you are unable to answer that. Interviewers know very well that nobody a superman they are not hiring a superman. Nobody can answer all the questions. So there will be 20 to 30% questions you are going to miss out. But the problem comes in when you get nervous about it. Suppose I see Abhishek, I ask Abhishek, tell me about XYZ, and he gets nervous about it. There are two things that he can do. First, he can say this, oh, I'm really sorry. I'm not sure about that. Maybe I need to refresh my concepts on that. And maybe in the next interview, I'll be able to talk more about that. So that's one way of asking it. The second thing is that you look up. One of the worst thing one could do is somebody asks a question and you look up as if you don't know anything, and then you make expressions and you feel like nervous. So they deduct your points. So in all the good companies, the interviews are point-based system. For every question or every phase, they assess you that you are being excellent, very good, good, satisfactory, or not good. So they will rate you on certain, on extenses. And if you feel nervous for any client-related calls, for any client-related interviews, whether it is a business analyst role or it is account manager roles, or it is or any role, client servicing role or sales role, they are not going to take you even if it's a client facing role. If you show even iota of nervousness, nervousness is something that they can't accept it. For example, I have Nirvan going back to as an account manager from Google to a company like XYZ, like Bomb Raider. He goes back to Bomb Raider and he said that I'm account manager from Google. Google is gone. So that's one thing. Now, as Nirvan has said, what it takes to get into Google, I'll talk about a bit what it takes to get into any big four companies. So unlike product-based companies like Google, big four companies usually, and guys, these views are not employers. These are my views, my personal views are based on my personal experiences. Okay. But I consider that this should be, as of now, I am considered as true. So big four companies are usually, I would say that they are process based. They would like to follow a process. If I compare it with product based companies, they are very innovative. So innovation is good. It is there in big fours as well. But at times you need to follow a process unless you are into an innovation team itself. So if you don't follow the process, it will be a bit of a problem. If you go back to Google interviews, maybe they have got a good culture. They are not very much finicky about your dressing sense or anything. But if you go for a big four, you are going as a consultant. They will judge you as that you have been going. If you go back to a client, how you would appear. So there is a lot many things that they would try to look at you, your appearance, and how do you sense it all. This is very important. Third thing is that if you're going for a big four, your communication and your presentation skills should be flawless. If anybody, if for example, if I ask a question to anyone, like Bhumika, how good are you in PowerPoint presentation? If she gives me an answer like 6, 7, 8, I may not like it. I would be expecting an answer like 9.5 or 10, 10 on 10. And if you go back to any presentation, I don't know whether you have got this experience or not, but if you go back any big four company presentation to the client, I can give you a challenge. You will not find any single iota of mistakes into that. There may not be any problem with the colors. There will not be a problem of anything like orientations or sizing or font size or content. Everything has to be flawless. And big four companies pay a very big attention on these kind of skills. Third thing is that if you're applying for any big four companies, and this applies in the CV as well, if you are preparing a CV for any big four company, whether it is for a marketing role or it is for account manager role or it is for a consulting role or a tech role. Consulting is a must. A lot many people may not understand what is direct definition of a consulting role. A consulting means solving problems. So if you are writing any of the project, I'll take example of Siddharth. Let me see if he has put in some project or not. So I don't see any project in Siddharth's CV. Okay. So Siddharth, one thing is for sure. Even if you have got 2 years of experience, at least you talk about in your CV what did you do. If you're talking about you have resolved 800 cybersecurity threats or something, which is good, but talk about what kind of threats you have been working on, what projects you have been working on. So people will get some of the idea that what you have been doing. And one of the key thing is that if you're applying for Big Four, talk about a problem statement which you have tried to solve. Suppose Vatsal goes back for Vatsal, I understand that you are a digital marketer. So suppose you go back for a startup, and this could be a good point for you, Vatsal. If you are a fresher and if you are looking forward for a quick roles, and if you are not into graduate roles, for all the freshers who have not been able to grab a graduate role, and if they are going back for the open market roles, startup and small companies should be your target audience. Nirvan, I'll take 5-10 minutes more and then I'll hand over to you for your things. Okay, so so the structure of this session is that I'll talk about a bit more how to what are the things that Big Four companies usually look at the candidates. Then I'll hand over to Nirvan for his words of wisdom, and then we are going to talk about the CV thing. That if you would like to customize your CV, what are the things that you need to do? Okay, and then at the end we are going to take some of the questions. Okay. I hope everyone is okay with that. So I was at Vatsal. Suppose Vatsal is going back. So biggest thing that you could do is you go back for startup companies and show yourself that you have a niche skill to scale up the startups. You have a magical formula how you can scale the startups. All the startups are hungry for scaling up. If you can give the solutions to them, you are their guy. Always understand that if you really want to get the job, maybe Nirvan would have done the same thing without even thinking about it. When he would have gone into the job, he must have shown or portrayed a picture that Nirvan is not looking forward an opportunity. Nirvan is an opportunity for Google. And that's why Nirvan has been hired by Google, because Google saw something in Nirvan that they could utilize. And if I would have gone to Google, maybe they would have not seen those things into myself. And primary, because of the reason I've failed to show this to them. And that comes back to a second golden rule of interviewing or CV writing or selling yourself in the market. Your perception is more important than your reality. Nobody knows, nobody can judge your reality in 45 minutes of interview or 2 or 3 rounds of interview. They can only perceive it to be. So your perception is very much important. One of the way of your perception is your CV. Second way of deep perception is your interviews. Okay, so that's come back to the second point that if you are writing your CVs, make sure that you write about the problem statement. You add up the consulting part. Consulting is about looking at or identifying the company's problem and giving them a solution. That's the second thing. The third thing that I'm going to talk to you about, how many of you knows about thought leadership? This is a very buzzword. Everybody talks about thought leadership. Anybody would like to talk about thought leadership, guys? If anybody wants to talk about this, if not, so I'll tell you about this. Forget about the word. Okay. Forget about the word about thought leadership. Understand what does it mean. It means that if whenever you're going back for interviews or anything, understand that if you can show your employers that you can identify their customer's problem before customer finds out their own problem, then you are a thought leader. Some of you might be in 20s, some of you might be in 30s. Before WhatsApp came in, did you ever felt a need of WhatsApp? Those people who are into 30s, they might be knowing it because some of you might be in 20s. They know that when the WhatsApp came in, we were in school or something. So might be not knowing it. When Facebook wasn't there, people did not find a need of having Facebook. They were happy with Orkut. When WhatsApp wasn't there, people did not want WhatsApp at all. When iPhone wasn't there, people did not find a need of WhatsApp. So iPhone found that, founder of iPhone, Steve Jobs, found that People need something. People did not know about it that they need this. So you find your customer's problem and you try to solve them through your services or products, and that's how you do. So these kind of three things are very important whether you go back for Big Four or any other company. But Big Fours usually look at these things. Very important thing. So in the next phase of this call, I'm going to take about TV for Siddhant Karanth, and he's a stock analyst, cybersecurity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a stock analyst job role, and I'm going to talk about that. If you would have to customize your CV with respect to job role, it's not only about taking the keywords and putting into the CV. This is the worst thing that you can do. Second thing, if you are ever doing this thing using the chat GPT, any AI, and you are using AI for that and thinking that you are doing a great job, then you are the biggest smart person in the earth, because AI can bring you up to 50, 60, 70%, but it cannot bring you in the top 10% for sure. Absolutely, I'm confident about it. So if you're into bottom 10, 20%, you still use ChatGPT. But if you want to be into top 30%, ChatGPT or any AI tool or Microsoft Copilot or maybe any other tool. What is the other tool? Gemini, Google Gemini. They may not be able to bring you to the top 20 or top 30% even. And so I'll tell you about how do you do this, but I'll come back to again to Nirvan. So Nirvan, if you can talk about people, that what mistakes people do and how you would say to people that what they can do to get, because lot many of people having the problem that they are not getting interview calls. You should be having the same problem. What you would advise and any other thing that you can say to the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for those golden nuggets of wisdom. I think you're absolutely on the right track in terms of what needs to be done. So that's great. Two things that really stood my attention, Raghav, what you mentioned. I think the first thing that you mentioned is the first impression, right? Which is super important. So one thing which I did differently, which really helped me, was an elevator pitch. So I'm not sure if many of you have heard about this term called the elevator pitch, but it's basically a pitch that you make in an elevator if you see somebody important, right? You don't have enough time. How do you convey what you want? How do you convey interest towards what you are? So every time you go for an interview, I think that gives a great first impression. So always have an elevator pitch ready. Who are you? Where do you come from? What are your qualities? What are your values? What have you done? What sort of experience are you looking at? So I think that really helped me in terms of a very strong, charismatic, and confident elevator pitch. That gives a great first impression. And one more thing Raghav mentioned, which I really would like to amplify, is the thought leadership bit. I know that some of you might use LinkedIn, but honestly, start making LinkedIn your best friend. It is very, very important nowadays in this digital era. People, when they think of you, the first thing that they do is going to be looking at your LinkedIn, right? It's super easy to look up people in LinkedIn. So you definitely need to have a polished profile. What have you done? What are the projects? What are the experience? What have you upskilled in? The project descriptions, how much revenue have you added in those projects? I think that's very, very important. And that is basically what is thought leadership, right? So, for example, if somebody thinks about, say, sales and marketing, I should be the first person that comes to their mind. That is exactly what thought leadership is all about. So, if you're going to be getting into consulting, they should already have that impression. Okay, maybe say Vasal is really good in consulting or Anvesha is very good in consulting. So LinkedIn does help you to do that. It's so easy to reach out to the right people in LinkedIn, connect to them. It literally evens out the playing ground. And even in terms of creating content, there's so many less people who creates content in LinkedIn that I find it really you could literally capitalize on that. The lesser the people, the better, right? So if you are creating content in LinkedIn, you really stand out. So that's something which I've really pushed people to do because it gets the eyeballs of recruiters, right? It does, and you also get access to people's algorithm. So even in terms of finding out hidden jobs which might not be in the market, LinkedIn is a great tool. So those are the two things I wanted to touch upon when it comes to Raghav. But in terms of my strategy, again, like I said, very simple. Just those three things. I can deep dive into it for sure, but would love to give a little bit of a generic touch upon these three. So first thing, again, applying for jobs. What I did was focus on the numbers, start tracking what all jobs you're applying in an Excel sheet. Where are those jobs at? What role is it? And what stage of the pipeline is it? Are you in the interview phase? Have they not reached out to you? So I think once you start tracking those jobs, it becomes easy for you to be more aware in terms of what do your numbers look like. And I think that's very, very important, right? So start doing that. Second thing, simultaneously, is start asking people for referrals. I'm not sure many of you can guess how many people I asked for referrals, but please do give that a shot in the chat. I want to see if it's you're close to how many referrals I did ask people for. Again, LinkedIn, um, amazing platform for you to connect to the right people. I remember asking 60 people for referrals during that whole job search, right? So it's important for you to, again, I'm not going to be very naive and directly go and ask people for referrals. It doesn't make that sense, right? Why should they waste their time, give you a referral, give you advice, unless you're not being interested in them? So start the conversation with something really interesting. Like some of you might be from UCD. So if you go to the LinkedIn page of UCD alumni, you can literally connect to people. So that's something which is very important. Make it very intrigue, make it very captivating for them to respond to you, right? Because you're asking for their help. So that's something a lot of people make a lot of mistakes. Like, hey, are you going to give me a referral? No, why should they? Like, you should earn the respect of them for them to give you a referral, right? So that's something which is very important and it really helped me. Like crafting personalized messages in LinkedIn is a nugget. Like honestly, that's something which you need to do for sure. So that's what I did in the jobs front. Side by side, again, I need to learn more, right? I'm doing books. Again, there's a lot of amazing books out there, nonfiction, things like leadership, self-management, emotional intelligence, psychology, sociology, marketing, sales. Start upskilling. At the end of the day, that you can have amazing conversations when you read these books. And also, if you want to go deep inside it, do online courses. Nothing like it. I have done so many online courses on sales and marketing. So these are examples how you can be ready when the opportunity comes, right? So for example, imagine if Google is coming knocking at your door today. Are you ready to take that up? You need to be ready. So that's why start preparing and focus on the process rather than the end outcome, right? Last but not the least, 100% networking. So one thing which is amazing about Dublin, right? People are very friendly over here. I don't know if you have noticed that. It's so amazing. That's one of the best perks about Dublin is literally you could talk to anybody. So make use of that. Start networking with people, asking them for coffee chats, asking them for 15 minutes, say getting on a video call, taking them out for coffee. No harm, right? There are three things that can happen. Either they give you a referral, or they say no and they refer you to the right person, or they give you golden bits of information. What is the role like? What are your targets? What do you have to do day to day in a role? What are the skills you need? What are the certifications you need? So I think that's very important. So stop shying away from reaching out to people in LinkedIn and start updating your profile and optimizing it. Again, I'll probably put my LinkedIn profile here in the chat because honestly, I have spent countless hours optimizing it and I've spent a lot of hard work and effort on making it, like a very good profile. So have a look at it. And I think that really matters. Like you're the front facing personality, right, of your LinkedIn. So start doing that. Again, those are the three things. I would love to capitalize and elaborate more on those three. But what I've realized, I'm sure Raghav can resonate with this, is most of the applicants don't focus on all the three. They just randomly keep applying for jobs and expect to get a job. It's not like that. The market is very competitive over here, right? You're in one of the most competitive tech markets in the world after US. After Silicon Valley, Dublin is literally considered the second most amazing places. There are literally startups coming here left, right, and center because the corporate tax is so low. So it's a lot of great opportunity for people like us to capitalize on those jobs. Again, I do understand the job market is a bit scarce, obviously, but this is not going to last forever, right? Already you can see people are hiring, companies have started hiring over the summer. So I highly recommend that you schedule your day right and start doing all the three things because that will progressively make you move forward and you grow as a person as well at the end of the day. So yeah, I think that's about it, Raghav, from my side. Happy to take questions as well, or if you want to deep dive into anything in specific, I'm happy to do that as well. But yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'll do a quick round of CV customization part. I'll take Siddharth CV. Siddharth, I'm taking your CV, but I've taken off some of the names and college institute and your company's name altogether from the CV. Siddharth, if you can come back on camera, that will be great. It will give me a face to talk about, and other people will also have a look over there at how to customize the CV. And so although Siddharth reflects a profile related to stock analyst, which is the cybersecurity one. So you may not, others may not be able to understand the technical part of it. But the idea is not about understanding the technical part of cybersecurity. The idea is about how you are going to customize the CV. So I'll tell you that whether you are from marketing or sales or account management or into data analysis, how you can take the part and how you can make the flow of the CV altogether. All right. Siddharth, you there?
Yeah, Raghav, I'm here.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Good to see you, Siddharth. It's putting a name to a face. It's putting a face to a name. Okay. Thanks for reaching out to me. I'm just sharing my screen. I'll be sharing your CV. I hope you're comfortable sharing your CV over here.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah.
All right. I've taken out your personal details from the CV, so don't worry on that. So I'll go back over here. Okay. So that, let me see if you're able to see the screen now. Okay. So that's your a job at stock analyst at Toast. Okay. Have a look over here. I hope you would like to apply for this role. Let's have a look over there.
Yeah, this is probably one of the jobs which kind of match my description. So
Okay. All right. So I'll go back and open up your CV now. Okay. All right. So that's your CV. Okay. And you have mentioned detail-oriented SOC analyst for 2 years of experience, highly skilled in SOC incident response, blue team solutions. So basically, Siddharth, you have put in a good career summary over here. And we'll go back and try to match it with your, we'll try to match it with your, for your job. So what they are asking, now we are going to take down the keywords first. And guys, do not take the keywords from ChatGPT. I mean, you can take the keyword from ChatGPT, but they will not do a best thing over there. So if you are going back for, I would say, a very quick job where you really want to get into that, make a tailored solution to it because that is going to give you results. So some of the key things that you go over here is that they are asking about security response. That's one thing. Second thing is they are now you go back to second point. They would like to create tools to monitor, detect, and mitigate risk. This is the second point. Now, third point, they are talking about following the security team to influence the company to help. It does not have much things. Now they are asking for identifying the anomalies, but monitoring the solutions within the environment. Okay, so anything that does not go with the environment, they want the person to check that. Now they are coming back with key thing. One of the very important keyword they have is malicious activity within AWS. That's one very important key activities. The second keyword that they have mentioned is about leveraging the EDR solutions. And Siddharth, by any chance, have you worked on EDR solutioning?
yeah, I mean, briefly, I have worked on EDR tools and solutions. So
Okay,
I might
very
have
good.
mentioned I'm assuming that I might have mentioned, but yeah, I might have missed that as well.
Okay. So next is they are looking forward for threat hunting. This is another problem. Another thing that they are looking forward is leveraging programmatic language. They have not mentioned about program language yet. We'll see in the bottom side of the job description that what programmatic language they are looking forward, but they would like to utilize the technical solutioning to automate the solutions. And the last one is okay, security mindset is fine. And now they are coming back to the right ingredients. So they are asking that they need to have a programming language or a scripting language. Most likely they will be looking for Python or anything. But they are experiencing leveraging programming language to automate the solution. They are looking forward for AWS. They are looking forward for red team and blue team activities, threat modeling, Splunk, SIM. That's fine. They're also looking forward for desired solutioning like mobile applications, containerization and orchestration techniques, Docker. Okay, so now there will be a good amount of things, Siddharth, that you might not have done and that you might not have worked on. Is there anything out of these desired and essential thing that you have not done?
Yeah, so I don't have experience in scripting languages per se. I mean, I know the basics of Python and stuff, but then it's not good enough to be used to run scripts or automate stuff.
Okay,
And apart from that, AWS, again, I haven't worked on it extensively. I in my current company I'm working on Azure, so we're working on a completely different cloud solution. But then again, since that's cloud based as well, I think that would still count as having experience in
Okay.
a cloud application. But
Okay.
apart from that, yeah,
Hmm.
again, threat hunting is something which I haven't done because I'm part of the blue team. But since they look for red team activities as well, that's something which I haven't dived into yet. But apart from that, I think I might have covered most of it.
Okay. All right. So suppose, Vatsal, you are also applying for a digital marketing role, and there are some areas that you don't know. What are you going to do? Are you going to apply or you are going to drop it?
I will try to apply for that role,
Okay.
and yeah.
So my key thing is that it might be a case that even if you are meeting 60-70% of the things, you go and apply for it because you are not your competition with your kind of people. It may be possible that the person who would be very good in scripting language, he might not have experience with the other things. So there could be a balance things out of 10 things they have asked, people won't have, and nobody would have 10 on 10. People will have 7, 8, maximum 9, but they would not have 10. So what are we going to do? We'll see that out of these, what are the things Siddharth has. And just understand, guys, one of the key thing about CV customization. Usually, there is one thing which is called as scroll down test. And I told in my last sessions as well, what is a scroll down test? If I am reviewing your CV, if I'm a recruiter, there's a big time chance that I am going to see the front of your CV without scrolling down. And if I like your CV, if I found a keyword in your CV that you could do a justice, I'll go back and scroll it and see it. Otherwise, I'm not going to see it. So your first half page of the CV is like your primary real estate. So whatever customization you would have to do, you would have to do the customization then and there for more for sure. So I'll look at the career summary. Out of these career summary, I think Siddharth has done. Uh, he has worked with the Blue Team. He has not worked with Amazon, but he has worked with Azure. Does not have experience with programming and scripting language, but he must be having a theoretical knowledge. Do you, Siddharth?
Yeah, I mean, I know the algorithms and the theoretical stuff behind programming. So yeah,
Because you
the
must have.
foundational base is there. Yeah.
So if you have studied information security and network security, you must have studied a bit of programming as well. And threat modeling, you know it. You don't know AWS, but you know Azure. And what about SIM?
Yeah, I work in Sim, so I'm aware of that as well. Yeah.
Okay, so what are we going to do is first we are going to make a list of what he has worked on. Okay, so we are going to customize it a bit. Okay, so 2 years experience, highly skilled in stock incidents, and we are going to add it over stock incidents response, threat hunting. We are going to further add automating solutions. We are going to further add because he does not have experience with AWS, but he has got experience in Azure. Okay, so we'll add more things over here, but one thing that we are going to take out, he has mentioned ability and proven track record. If you already have a proven track record, you don't need to show the ability. If you have proved something, you already have the ability. We'll take that out. Okay, we don't need it. We'll just mention that proven track record, and he has got a proven track record of working under pressure, strong leadership, technical thing. We don't need this. This is something that people will judge by themselves. Okay, and he will mention about proven track record of working on Azure. And now somebody will ask that they are asking for AWS, why we are mentioning Azure. We are mentioning Azure because Azure is a competitor of AWS. And it is possible that when you work on one particular tool, it's just the syntax that you have to change and you can work for the other tool as well. You understand the context overall. So if you have worked on one thing, you can also work on second thing. So although it is not ideal, but it is the best thing that we can you can do. Next thing is that have you worked with penetration testing?
No, I mean, since that comes under a team that's more of the offensive side, I'm part of the defense, so
Okay.
haven't done penetration testing. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go back risk mitigation. So we'll automating solution. So we have changed it and we have add those keywords into the career summary mentioning about risk mitigation worked as an integral part of security, blue team operations, threat hunting, incident response. Okay. And then we go back and add a section of skills. I would strongly recommend, guys, if you have anything that you want to add your CV optimized to ATS, keep your skill section just below your career summary. If you do that, ATS will find it very easy to match your career and skills as quickly as possible. One of the key factor in ATS is how quickly it can read your CV. It is just like a Google search, how quickly Google crawlers can read the website, and that's why they put the rank up. Similarly, if the ATS crawlers are able to read your CV very quickly, it will be one of the factors of keeping your CV ranking up. Okay, all the things that we have mentioned over here, risk mitigations, another thing. We are going to keep it second time in the skill section as well. And why we are doing it second time? The more the skills are repeated, ATS will understand that these are more matchable skills. So we are going to repeat this once again. Okay. So this is second time we are keeping it again. Now we go back into his cyber stock officer at FTC role, wherever he's going back. Okay. And now he is almost done the same thing, but we are going to take one keyword now and we will keep the CV in the flow. Let's take the keyword of threat hunting. Okay. So we'll go back. On monthly or quarterly, whatever you want to say. So, for example, let's take an example of threat hunting. So, we have put forward threat hunting over here in the career summary. We have put forward the threat hunting in the skill summary as well. Then we have put forward threat hunting in the form of an job duty, mentioning that he has led the threat hunting operating procedures and successfully mitigated 100 plus threats on a monthly basis on proactive basis using the tools XYZ, whatever he has been using it, saving the business downtime in 15 plus locations worldwide. Okay. Now he is mentioning about how he is going to do the same things. Okay. Similarly, when he is so idea is that whenever you are customizing the CV, customize the CV throughout. Just don't put the keywords over there because when people will read the CV, they will understand that what you have been doing and how you have been doing. One of the key things that most of the people require is team collaboration. Never write in the CV that I have in the skills like time management or collaboration or something. These are called as your behavior words or your buzzwords. Instead of showing that, instead of telling that you have got time management skills or you have got the skills related to collaboration, don't write it across. Show them in the form of your experience. So if I have to show that he has collaborated with people, okay, so he's going to mention that. So he wants to show the teamwork. Then he is going to show something like this. So he will do something else. So this is not a very much ideal, but it will go something like this. And he wants to show about his collaboration skills and teamwork. Then he'll say that he's collaborated with one, two, three teams: network solutions team, firewall management team, project delivery team, to brainstorm on the possible extensions to the cybersecurity audit and presented the ideations to proactively resolution of problems XXXXX. So he is going to talk about that which problems he worked on, how much he has collaborated, and what he has presented. So that is how you are going to customize your CV. Okay, I've taken for one skills, but there are 10 other skills. You may not be able to put 10 points, but if there are 10 skills, some of them could be very important. For example, in his job, threat hunting is very important, programming languages are very important, AWS is very important, SIM is very important. So do not make a fake CV. Okay. Don't, if you don't know anything, don't write it. But whatever you know, do your best over there. And that's how you are going to work it out across. I'm pretty much sure that even if you use ChatGPT with that, it will not do such an extensive work. You really need to do a lot of extensive work on that. So that's my way of customizing the CV. And one of the key things is that when I was looking forward for my job, I was applying for hundreds and hundreds of jobs and I was not getting, a suitable responses. One of the strongest skill that I have is that most of the applications where I make, I get the calls. Nowadays, I don't need the calls for reasons best known to me. But when I used to look forward for jobs, my CVs usually get selected. And the key reason for that, my customization power was extremely high. My customization was hyper customization. So that's why if you do that and if you do better than others, you are bound to have some good calls. So Nirvan and I will take some questions. And Nirvan, if you and I will take questions one by one, that will be a great thing. And I will let you take the first question.
Yeah, absolutely. Which question should I take? I'm just thinking. Okay, so I think Anshul mentioned that does the ATS system check word tense also? Example keywords like collaborated, collaboration, or orchestration. Okay, that's a very interesting one. The ATS is able to pick up certain keywords and it's also able to take up part of that keywords, right? So in terms of collaboration or collaborated, it's very same, but I don't think it takes tense, honestly. Even if you put up the whole word, that does the job. I'm not sure, Raghav. Can you double check on that?
Okay, hang on. Which question it is? If you can, I just missed the question. Which is it, Ishan or someone else?
Anshul mentioned does the ATS system check word tense also? Example keywords like collaborated, collaboration.
1 second. Achal. Okay. Does the ATS word checks also keywords like collaboration and collaboration? They are same. Okay. So tenses is not a problem. ATS is not so dumb nowadays. But yes, one of the key things that you need to understand is, Anshul, that if you have, for example, there's a tool like Microsoft PowerPoint, okay, and or if it is something like, for example, Microsoft PowerPoint, and you write MS PPT, that is a different thing altogether. So if they are saying about MS PPT, you write MS PPT. If they write MS Office, then you don't write Microsoft PowerPoint. You write to have MS Office only. So tenses is not a problem, but the base words, you need to have the base words over there. All right. Okay, and Siddharth says thanks and feedback for the pointers. No worries, Siddharth. Now we have, I'll start the questions from the beginning. Okay. Vatsal says good morning, so good evening. Thank you, Vatsal. And Vatsal says another thing, you mean tailoring the CV with the right job description? Yes, I think you have got an answer. Ishan, my favorite guy. Where are you? Oh, good. I like your jacket, by the way, your hoodie.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so he's asked a question that how do we find the information about the startup designing database? I told you in the last session that if you are looking forward for startups or somewhere, the best thing is that you look forward from Enterprise Island. Enterprise Island is an entity which funds a lot of startups. So you go back to the website, go back to Google. I'm pretty much sure that you'll get a good number of names of the startups or somewhere. That's one thing. if you want to get in touch with Doctors Labs, or if you go to the website, you know that where they are, what kind of companies comes to Doctors Labs. There are many events from Doctors Labs as well. If there is any event from Doctors Labs, you can go back and meet a lot of founders of startups. Okay. The third and the last thing, if you don't get any names anywhere, you can go back to the Google and mention starts top startups in Ireland 2022, 2023, 2024. When I did this search last time, I got the names of 600 startups, which is more than your 30 days job. Okay, so if you don't get anywhere, go back to Google. And next thing you mentioned about the only method I think of is to searching articles on news. This is also, if nothing works out, then this will definitely work out, that you can search it over the internet. And okay, next question. You would like to take Nirvan, or shall I take? You spoke, okay, she asked about me, so I'll take it then maybe. You spoke about the small companies that start in the last section as well. I am unable to get the list of such companies from Enterprise Ireland website. If you share the link. Okay, Neha. So what I'm going to do is I'll have a look again because I did this exercise 2 years ago. Okay. But people do get it because I keep on telling this to people and people do get it from there. So that is definitely a way. Last time 2 years ago, I gave this to someone, but last 2 years I haven't been. So I'll check again and come back to you on this. But what I'm talking about is definitely possible because people have done that. A large number of people have done that. Okay. Next question is from Vatsal. I'll give it to you, Siddhant. Sorry, Nirvan. I haven't checked it. What
Yeah.
exactly is talking about projects?
Yeah, absolutely. Vatsal, so from what I've seen in your question, I think you asked two separate things. The first thing that you mentioned is projects from university. Now, again, that that is a bit of a tricky one, right? I'm mostly sure that it's not very important. I'll tell you why, right? Because people look at real world experiences, people look at real world projects, experiences that, again, experiences can be varied. Not only a full time job, even if you have interned, freelanced, part time, all that matters. So I wouldn't focus so much on university projects because honestly, again, I might beg to differ, but it hasn't given me much value in terms of that because people value other experiences more than university. And that exact space, again, like Raghav sir mentioned, right? It's a real estate, your CV. So at the end of the day, do you want to add that point, or would you add some other point where you literally intern, freelance slash part-time work for a company? Those projects definitely have much more value, right? Unless you are a starter and you don't have enough experience, then you can very well mention it for the spacing. But if you do have 2 years of experience, I definitely think that it's not that relevant because even when I was doing my job search process, people did not ask me much about my university life. Again, it can differ from company to company and for the roles especially. But again, from a digital marketing perspective, I have been in the industry for a while, so it doesn't matter as much compared to the other experience, right? I hope that answers your question. But again, like I said,
Mr.
something is
Nivan,
better than nothing. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, actually, like I totally got your point. Like if you have experience, you can definitely mention on your CV. But if some students doesn't have experience and they're coming from India and they're coming for the studies, and if they want to talk about the projects they have done from the universities, so they can mention on the CV, right?
Definitely, yes. Something is better than nothing. I was just going to come to
Yeah.
that, right? If you don't have
Thank you,
experience,
Mr. Nivan.
definitely you need to have talking points in terms of what you have done and how you have added value in terms of the university. So that one
Yes,
year
yes.
is really important. Like even myself, when I was at UCD, I was not only studying, I was doing at least 5, 6 projects on the side. As you know, they have a lot of things like global leadership program and a lot of volunteering activities that you can do. So for freshers, definitely start picking up things that you have been doing over the last few years and start jotting that down. Again, it definitely has to be relevant. Since this digital marketing plan and SEO report, yes, there is relevancy. But again, nothing like real world experience. Number two, amazing that you are, optimizing your profile and post. That's great. I definitely think it's easy for marketers, especially to start posting in LinkedIn because they're very good at content, right? So keep that up. I think it's great because you'll get a lot of eyeballs and impressions, which is great. Third thing is networking, 100%. Offline networking, nothing like it. I literally, again, I've been busy with so many projects and works. I've not done it much, but again, Dublin has a big ecosystem when it comes to tech. And like Raghav mentioned as well, the startup ecosystem is pretty big here. So start following things like Nova UCD, Dog Patch Labs, and a lot of other incubators and startups that's coming. Also, in terms of tech, there are a lot of new companies coming here trying to base their establishments in Dublin, only because Dublin is the central point between Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So it's a very good vantage point for startups to cater to the entire EMEA, right? Like, for example, in Google Dublin, I'm not sure whether you know this, which might be a bit fascinating, but we have 6,000 people in Google Dublin. Can you imagine? So after US, we're literally like the second biggest hub of Google, and then followed by APAC. So all the countries are being serviced here. So it's a great way for you to off network with people offline. And the only best bet that you're gonna get is LinkedIn. Like I literally registered for 2 events last week. One of them I went was on Tuesday, which is really wonderful, and the other one I'm going on to Wednesday as well. This is mostly tech, sales, and things like that, marketing. But LinkedIn is definitely your best bet. Like I said, when you start following hiring managers, team leaders, HRs, and colleagues in these companies who are in your relevant job description pool, you start getting access to your network. So you start getting access to that information as well. So when these are released and posted, you can very well go for them. Nothing like offline networking events. They are literally the best, much better than online. But again, Dublin as a city, I might be wrong, but it doesn't have a very it's very fragmented. It doesn't have like one company which is doing all the events. So you'll have to start hunting for events yourself, right? So that's very important. And again, nothing like the best first impression, right? Talking to people, understanding their journey, asking questions, being proactive, that really helps. So yeah, and again, like I said again, people are very friendly, so don't be shy to reach out to people. Again, start building that confidence and charisma because it is definitely needed, right? People at the end of the day, people do say don't judge a book by its cover, but the ability for you to hold a conversation and the ability for you to make an impact in those first 1 minute is very crucial. It makes a big difference. Yeah. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay, all right. We'll take the next question then. Uh, let's go back there. Hmm. Guys, is my network is getting a little bad here because I'm getting some of the text that people are not able to listen me very well.
Do you want me to take those questions for you, Raghav, if you're not
Yeah,
able to do
just
it?
take the questions. I'm feeling a bit off because my network is looking a little bad. I don't know why it is going that bad. And maybe
I
now
don't know
I
if it
could.
helps, but people can switch off their video if you want. I think that'll be
No,
a
no,
bit
I think
faster.
so. I think so. It's now I've changed it. I've changed it. I've moved on to different devices. I was working on two different devices, and probably that was the reason that they were interfering with each other. And I'm good now. I guess that my voice should be better now. Okay,
It is.
so I'll take the next question.
Definitely.
And what is the next question? Just hang on a second. Sorry, Nirvan, I'm not able to get into the questions. If you can read out the next question, maybe for me, please.
Absolutely, yes. So Siddhi asked, is it okay to reapply for a job and delete your previous application if you want to upload your modified CV because your previous CV is not customized? So basically, reapplying and withdrawing your previous thing.
You can definitely do that. There's no harm in doing that. It is perfectly legal to delete. And there are many things, guys. Just understand that whenever you want to upload a new CV to the same company, your new CV superimposes on the previous profile. So your previous version is anyways discarded. It is there in their database, but people don't look at. But if you want to be a double sure, you can delete your profile. You can go back again, but just understand that even if you delete your profile, your data remains with the company. If you really want to delete it, then you would have to exercise your GDPR laws and you have to go back to the company and tell them to delete everything. Okay, then they do that. Okay, so Siddhi, as I hope that Siddhi, I have answered your question, and I'll go back to the other questions. And next is Achal's question has been answered. Mm, Okay, Niranjan has asked a question. Nirvan, if you want to add it over, should we add hyperlinks for the LinkedIn profile and direct links to be written in the CV? First of all, Niranjan, there is no resume in Ireland. It is always CV. Okay, so it's good that you start calling your resume as CV because everybody looks for the CV, not for the resume. It's like a cultural thing in UK, Ireland, and in rest of the Europe that if you are speaking to any recruiter, How many of you have seen that a recruiter has asked for your resume? I would say that 10 on 10 times, as far as my experience is concerned, they will ask for your CV. Unless the recruiter is also also a non-EU candidate and who has gone into the HR very quickly. Okay. So, Nirvan, you would like to take it or shall I take it?
You can go ahead, Raghav.
Okay. So, guys, there are some safe hyperlinks. For example, if there's a hyperlink for LinkedIn, all the ATS are built in to take a note of their algorithm is based on something that they are very much able to take the Gmail hyperlink. They are very much able to take up your LinkedIn hyperlink. They are very much able to take the hyperlink for your GitHub profile. They will be very much able to take some of your other I'm not knowing any other profile which is very much largely known. Okay, so like GitHub and others, for some technical people, there are some tech portals as well where they can put up their profiles as well. So those are very much built in the ATS. But if you are writing some project and you have put up a project somewhere and then you are putting up your profile over there, so the algorithm of ATS is there. If you are having more than three, four hyperlinks, more than three, just consider like three. If you are having more than three hyperlinks, it will drastically reduce your CV quality and your CV could be considered as a spam. So do not put more hyperlinks unless it is very necessary. Safe hyperlinks are LinkedIn, anything related to your Gmail or your GitHub profiles. These are very safe hyperlinks. Anything apart from that, maybe you can add one, but not more than that. Okay. Vatsal is asking again, and hi Raghavan and One, should we mention hyperlinks in our vital projects done for the university and the website? You can mention that, but do not mention too many hyperlinks. Maybe the best thing is that you put all your projects into one profile. Best is that you put all the projects in your GitHub profile. GitHub is a very safe hyperlink. ATS does not take it as a spam. So you put everything on GitHub and then share the GitHub profile. Okay. Siddhi's answer has been answered. Then Siddharth. Nirvan, you answer Siddharth's question.
Yeah, I'll do that. Regarding salary-related questions, I know it can definitely be a bit tricky in terms of what you want, what is it that you want to go for. But again, there's no right way or wrong way of doing it. But I think the more information you have in terms of ammunition, the better it is for you, right? So first, always understand like how much do those companies pay. Glassdoor is very transparent. You could literally go to Glassdoor and check how much a digital marketer gets paid in Ireland, what is the basic range. So that's something which is very generic and will give you the basic information. Now, if you want to deep dive into it, it's always good to connect with the right people in LinkedIn before, right? Like I said, start doing your homework before all these happens. So when you are switching jobs, you know for a fact, hey, I'm going to this company, I'm going for this role. So it's easy for you to ask people, hey, again, just not directly out of the blue, how much do you get paid? That is very absurd, right? Warming up to them, making a good conversation, building rapport. That's something which you can definitely do and then probably get into that conversation. They might give you a range, but don't be very blunt and ask them for the direct that thing. Third is obviously negotiation is a very big important part when it comes to salary. So always understand like how much do you need, how much are you worth, and are you willing to negotiate? So always that whole law of negotiation, right? If you say 50, the recruiter might say 45 or 40. So for you able to inflate exactly how much you want and calculating, that really matters. Now, again, I think Raghav might know better in terms of what is the exact range and percentage increase when it comes to job switch, but I'm assuming that it's very wide and it depends on a lot of factors like the company, the seniority, how much experience you have. But I would definitely suggest Glassdoor for checking out basic salaries. And I think Glassdoor, when you log in, you can also get salaries for particular companies in that range. And I think that helps. So I hope that answers your question. I'll also take the next one because I was thinking about that, Raghav. When asking for a referral, how do you go about it? Rigved, great question. What kind of conversations can be more engaging? Is there a general strategy that I use? Got it. Again, this is definitely easy. I don't know why people struggle so much in terms of talking to people. You can ask them literally anything, right? You can ask them about their role. You can ask them about the company. You could ask them about the culture fit. You can ask them about the products and services. You can point out something interesting, what they have done, how that has caught your eye in their LinkedIn profile. You can also talk about their alma mater or universities. You can talk about their hobbies. So basically, there's a lot of things that you could ask for. But in terms of crafting that perfect first message is also about doing the content right? Like certain things, elements really need to be there, like why are you reaching out to that person, where are you from, what do you do, why are you reaching out, and how can they help you, and probably telling them something interesting about yourself or about the role. I think those are the few 5 or 6 things that definitely an initial connection message need to have. But from what I have experienced, Rigved, again, I think the first year when I came here, I connected to at least 1,000 people in LinkedIn, literally, right? Because I wanted to brush my LinkedIn and get used to that. So when you're sending a connection request, sometimes you don't necessarily need to personalize. They do accept it. People here are more friendly than usual, right? So you will get through. Sometimes it's better if you are connecting to somebody who have a lot of seniority to do a personalized message. But normally what I've noticed is people do accept. So even when you get into the door, you can normally send them a normal message. So then you'll get more content space because you're not limited to say 150 words. So there are endless things you can talk about. Start getting creative, start putting an interest on the other person. Stop thinking about yourself for a minute, is what I've learned, because we're so engrossed in what we want, what we need, that we always take that stance, and that really sets us back, right? So yeah.
All right. Thank you, Nirvan. A couple of things that I would like to add over here. Okay, on both the things. Okay, and talking about mainly about the salary structure. Okay, guys, just understand that the salary question is very much different before and after your interview. If you are taking if the recruiter is asking your question, just understand that recruiter is your guy. If, for example, Anvesha is a recruiter and she's asked me that, Raghav, what is your salary expectations? And if she is a recruiter, not a company person, my response will be, Anvesha, can you tell me what is the budget of this role? Because recruiter is a third party to the company. And it is absolutely certainty that when a company has given the task to hire people to Anvesha, they must have told her the budget, that this is the budget that we are looking into. So she must be knowing of the budget. There is a very big likely chance that Anvesha will have a budget in mind and she will tell the budget. Okay. But suppose Anvesha works for a big company, and if she asks a question that, Raghav, what is your salary expectation? And I say that, Anvesha, can you tell me about what is the budget of this? So Anvesha's response would be very much standard, and she would say that we are not expected to give the answers about our budgets to people who are looking forward for the job, looking forward for jobs. It is best that you tell us that what is your expectations. And my answer will be, and please note down what would be my answer, because I don't want to put myself under budget and I don't want to put myself as a over budget. I want to see their cards first. So my response will be that I'm looking forward for the good role and a bunch of good friends. I'm looking forward for market standards and the company benchmarks with respect to my role. I am not very much focused about the job role. Maybe we can go ahead and I'll be happy with the company standards over there. Okay. So that is a safe answer that you can give back. And if they point out very tactically to you that no, you have to quote me a figure, sometime it happens. Suppose you have 12 years of experience, you are applying for a role which requires 3 years of experience. People would have a budget of 40, 50K for that. But since you have 10, 12 years of experience, you might be expecting 70, 80, 85. At that point of time, they will be pinpointing you that give me a quote figure. Then I would suggest you that suppose Anvesha has these things and Anvesha wants to know that what is her salary would be if she goes back for an account management role. Before you go back for the interview, look back for the people who had been working in the similar capacity. Suppose I am working in the similar capacity, Anvesha will come back to me, but she need not to ask me that, Raghav, what is the money that you make? Her subtle question will be, Raghav, I'm applying forward for this role. Can you give me some idea? What should I ask for this role? Since you have been into the same role and the same capacity, I think you will be able to tell me a ballpark figure for that. In this case, I will also not shy away in giving my salary to you, and I will also give you a ballpark figure that this you should be looking at. All right. Next, quickly go back in terms of referrals. Whenever you are going back for referrals, guys, be very, very careful over here, over there. People will have a different mindsets. For example, if anybody go back to me as a referral, even even if you go back to me or Nirvan, there are some people who have the referral mindset. So if you go back to them, they will be very inclined to help you. Whereas there are some people who will not have a referral mindset. They will feel it awkward that how come a stranger is coming back to them and asking for a referral for no reason at all. So there has to be some connection point. For example, connection point between me, Nirvan, and Abhishek or Vatsal is that I and Nirvan had been doing the same journey that Vatsal and Abhishek has been doing it now. So despite we don't know much, we are already connected through experiences. So we will be able to do that. But if you ask someone who has never been into through all this, he may not like it. So the best thing to get referral is that you find a common thing between you and them. The common thing could be college. The common thing could be some known person between you or them, or the common thing when be appreciation. People love appreciation. If you appreciate someone, they will like it. You will have their attention. And research about their profiles. Don't mindless appreciate them. Talk about them, that what do you like about them, what do you feel that how you would like to be like them, and then talk about that. Be very clear with your ask. What are you asking for them? And don't ask for the referrals. I would say that people who don't have the referral mindset first understand. For example, I can go to Nirvan and say that Nirvan gave me a referral for that. He might be able to give that because he has got a mindset to help people. But if I don't have the mindset, and if Abhishek comes back to me saying that Raghav gave me a referral today itself, I might feel awkward on that. Build up a relationship if you really want to get a people who are into not into that zone. So you do that, and that's the best way of doing the referral. One of the other thing is that there's a portal, refermeet.com. You can go back to them. You can reach out their customer services to get you a code to get the referrals. It is a portal where you can go back and look back for like-minded people who are open for providing referrals. It's a limited quantity portal which is giving the access to very limited people. You can reach out to them, reach out to their customer service, ask them for a code to enter, and you will be added as a job seeker code, and you can add for referrals from their portal. All right. Next, quickly go back because we have just 10 minutes and we'll be winding up the questions. So we'll be very quick. Achal has asked another question. Nirvan, if you can quickly take that up, and I will take the next. Cooling off period,
Yep.
Nirvan, if you can take up.
Yep. Cooling off period, again, very differentiable. Like it's different for different companies. I think for Google, it's 3 months. So always do your research. It's always written in terms of the HR page or the recruiters page in terms of how many months do you need to cool off. So it differs from companies to companies. Usually it's 1 month, sometimes it's 3 months. So always ask somebody, connect to that company, ask them, hey, what is the cooling period? That is the easiest way of doing it. First build rapport
Okay.
and then do it.
Okay. Nirvan, as far as I am known, whenever you go back to such companies like Google, Microsoft, when you apply, they make it a note very big into the application itself that you have two job applications in 3 months or three job application in 2 months. So most of the companies will have this kind of notification. Okay. If you don't have the notification, most likely they may not have a cooling off period. But the best thing is to ask the HR. They are the official spokesperson. Next, you can take the next
Yes.
one as well. You can take the next one as well from
Yeah,
AS.
regarding anything Anantaraman asked, regarding current students in Ireland, should we apply for jobs now or wait till visa conversion to 1G? Anantaram, this is a great question. I think a lot of people struggle with this because obviously some of us are doing a part-time job while working and you're doing so many things, right? It's hard to balance so many things. I myself worked at an Indian restaurant for 6 months. So I think you definitely need a leeway of 6 months. So, for example, I came from September to September. I started job hunting in March. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September. I had 7 months. So again, job hunting is not just applying for jobs, right? You need to upskill, you need to network, you need to do a lot of things. So I think 6 months is the perfect time for you to pursue projects, freelance, do a lot of things because then it gets much easier. A lot of my classmates who waited till the last minute, who waited for stamp one, um, honestly, they had a much difficult time applying for jobs because they took longer and because of that wait time. And again, there's no right or wrong. And the negative side and the if you flip the other side of the coin, again, it is a bit challenging 100% because obviously some companies will take you only if you have stamp one, and that is basically November when you can start. Some companies will not take you when you have 1G. So it is a very thin line. There's no right or wrong answer, but I suggest the earlier you start, the better. Again, what do I mean by early? When I started March, I'm not going to apply for big companies like Google and other tech companies, right? I'm going to test to see if my CV is going through to small startups, things like that, who have the leeway where you can probably work part time or do an internship as well. Only when I'm very confident that my CV is working, I'm doing great at interviews, I've upskilled so much, I've grown so much. Last 2, 3 months is when I'll tackle the big companies and I'll go all out. Again, a lot about timing and luck, right? You might have to keep hitting the wall for at least 3, 4 times for it to break. That's exactly what is it for fan companies, right? It might take you more tries to get in. So the earlier you start that process, the more better conversations you have, the better your CV is, the better you are at interviews. You're not going to get through in terms of the interviews in your first time unless you're like exceptionally brilliant. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you, Nirvan. I'll take two more questions, very quick questions from Sevnik and Reshma. I'll take Sevnik's questions first. Sorry, I'm taking the name wrong. Last time when Sevink got back to me, I was speaking to her and took her name wrong. Sevink. Okay. So, Sevink, which tool is good for checking the ATS detect? Answer is none. It is because all the free tools like JobScan and all these things you get for free, these are just waste of time. And the real tools for ATS are ApplyTrack or Oracle Fusion or maybe Workday, but these are paid softwares that corporate companies usually take. I would suggest that you don't pay too much attention on ATS tools, rather use your eyes and look forward that your formatting is right or not, your keywords is right or not, and your flow of the keywords and the job description is right or not. If you do these three basic things, you will be able to do that. You don't need any tool for that. And what happens with the tools is that you rely too much on tools and the tools do not do a good job. If anybody has used JobScan, it's a worst tool. It's a worst tool ever. It takes the keywords and it takes lot many other things as well, which has got no relevance to the job. Okay, so I won't take that up. I'll take quick questions from Reshma as well. And guys, we have last 5 minutes over here. If getting rejected after final rounds of lot more times, how make out we are lagging? Reshma, this is a very specific question. I would need to know that what is your job profile, what kind of companies you got into. I'm unable to answer your question at this stage. I don't want to give a very generic answer to you because it may not help you much. Maybe you can drop a note to Career Island and I'll just send them their email ID. Sorry, it's wrong. You can drop a note over there at connect@careerisland.com. We'll respond you back on that. Maybe we can schedule your call on this. And I would need to know your specific profile and other things. You can drop your question over there. Any questions that I'm unable to answer, you drop your answers over there, or you can WhatsApp Career Island team and we'll do the needful on that. And I go back to other questions that quickly we can do because it's the last 5 minutes. And questions for Nirvan. Nirvan, that's a question for you from Charu. Quickly, if you can give a quick answer to that.
Yeah, my question is how do you tap into non-tech roles and sell yourself for roles or skills that are transferable from okay, got it. Have you experienced seen people in the non-tech roles and not Chris? Okay, so this is a tricky one, right? In terms of understanding what are non-tech roles. Non-tech roles are anything like operations, sales, marketing, project management, program management. There are a lot of non-tech roles out there, which are there in tech companies like Fang as well. So I think one thing which is really important for you is to have those transferable skills. I mean, you answer that question yourself in terms of trying to check out the job description, try to understand what they do on a day-to-day basis, and then replicate the same thing for yourself. So when you go for interviews, when you do mock interviews, you need to start replicating those scenarios that you have done before in other companies, which necessarily need not be tech. They mostly look at transferable skills that you have done previously, which will help you in your job and which will help you achieve that certain thing that they need that tick mark, right? So I think that's very important. So tapping into non-tech roles and again, selling yourself, I think personal brand really matters. So in terms of your LinkedIn profile, in terms of your CV, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, I think that does the trick. Having an elevator page, so something that is super important. So that's one thing what I did, which was very important for me. One exercise I did, I think one day I was just had some time in my hands, and I just sat with myself for an hour and thought, what have I done for the last 5 years? What have I done? What are the projects have I done to make my CV? And I think those kind of questions and being in that reflective period really gives you a lot of golden nuggets in terms of what you've been doing for your previous experiences, the companies you've worked, because normally you might forget, right? But sit yourself down for 1 hour. Think about your last 5 years, what you've been doing, what are relevant, is that matching to the job description and what they want? So those skills are very important. Number two, have you from your experience seen from your peers, seen people that the non-tech roles or roles that are not critical land themselves? Yes, I've seen. I honestly, I'm not from a tech background myself. Like before I came here, I had 4 years of work experience. Two of them was in event management, which is not tech. One of them was in a marketing startup, which again, it's not tech, big fan. One of them is in Uber, I do admit, but again, I did account management and sales in Uber, so not tech at all. So I did get into a tech company without having much tech experience. And again, they don't look at tech experience. If you're good at what you do and you're good at that role, you're going to get the job. So it doesn't really matter. There's a very thin line. Go ahead,
Okay,
Raghav.
all right, guys. I We are running short of time, and we have a hard stop at 8:30. But if you have any questions left, you can either ping Career Island team on the WhatsApp number that I have given you already, or you can email us, and we'll get back to you on this. And if any one of you is running down on your visas like Stamp 1G, which is last 6 months, and after that you would have to leave the country or something, then do come back to us on priority basis. I'll be taking you up on priority and I will try to go any extent to help you guys over there. But this is available for mainly for those people who have the last 6 months of their stamp 1G. All right. I'm sorry I could not be able to take more questions. Send us there on WhatsApp or into email, and we'll do that. And thank you, everyone. I would just say in the last thing that a lot many people have found this very useful. Nirvan has taken his 90 minutes of his life that is not going to come back in his life again. And on the Friday evening, in the lovely Friday evening. So if you want to say thank you to Nirvan or myself, the best thing is that to leave a Google review for us. That will be a great thing. And last time I promised people that whatever I have spoken about the CV, I will document these and send it to everyone who has done a Google review. I'm almost done with the profile. I will add those pointers for today itself for the CV customization into that PDF file and send it to you across for everyone who will provide a Google review over there. I'll take the names from the Google review and send it over to your mailbox. So if you need that file, uh, give us a review, and I'll take down your email ID from there, and they'll come back to you with the free PDF file. So thank you so much, guys. And but I'll do that in next 3 days. Okay. So thank you so much, guys. And it was a lovely audience. And thank you so much, Nirvan. We'll catch up, guys, again next week with our next masterclass. Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much,
Have a
sir.
great weekend. Bye.
Bye-bye.
You, sir.
Thanks, Nirvan. Thanks, Raghav.
Thank you, Mr. Nivan and Raghav.